Hi, my name is Mandy. I live in Texas and I had a heart transplant 5 years ago. My road to a transplant actually started a long time ago. I was diagnosed originally with SVT when I was only 24, and eventually it progressed into AFib and several TIAs, and then into heart failure, and then into ventricular tachycardia, which resulted in my being shocked on several occasions by my ICD. And the VTACs are eventually what got me on the transplant list. So since my transplant, my life has changed dramatically. Before my transplant, I really was afraid to leave my house even. I was afraid I was going to have a TIA and fall. So my life was very limited. I really felt like my life was effectively over and I was just waiting for a VTAC or a TIA that, my ICD was not going to save me from, or cause a stroke that I was not going to recover from. And since my transplant, everything is different. I can walk around, I can go for hikes. I have had so many wonderful things in the 5 years since my transplant. I saw one son graduate from college, the other from grad school. Saw one of them get married. I celebrated my 30th anniversary. So my life has really begun again. And I can do so many things now. As I mentioned, I like to walk, I like to travel, and we have been, from California to Maine, and it's just been wonderful. Waiting for the transplant was very challenging, both physically and emotionally. I had severe heart failure, stage 4 heart failure, so I really had, no energy, really could not walk distances at all. I had my 4th TIA a few months before I was listed, and, the more TIAs you have, the more likely a full stroke is, so I was concerned about that. I had been in the hospital 4 times in the 5 months before I got listed from my VTACs. I kept getting shocked. So it was all very taxing. And, I was just laying in bed at home or on my couch at home watching TV all day long because I really could not do anything else. And I really didn't know if I was going to make it to transplant. I was afraid I would have a major stroke and I wouldn't be on the list then. I was afraid I'd have a VTAC that my ICD would not save me from. And I really thought there was a good chance I was going to die before I got listed. While I was waiting for my transplant, what really kept me going was my family, my children. I waited 6 months inpatient in the hospital because I had very high antibodies that I needed treatments for, and I was also on a balloon pump. So I was in the ICU for 5 of those months, and I had a picture of my family right next to me on my bedside table. And when I needed strength, I just looked at that picture, and that got me through. When I got the word that they had found a heart for me, I was inpatient. So the nurse crept into my room at 12:30 at night and said, "Your doctor's on the phone. He needs to talk to you." And she handed me the cell phone. And he said they had found an offer for me, which was amazing. I had 99% antibodies, and I had been doing multiple treatments. I was currently doing an experimental treatment to try to get them reduced, and nothing was reducing them. So I was really pretty miraculous that they had found a heart for me, and I could not believe it. I was so happy, and I got off the phone with him, and I called my husband, and as he said, good news never comes at 12:30 at night, but it was great. So the advice that I would give to someone who is being evaluated or on the list waiting is to just try to be patient. The hardest thing, I think, is not knowing when your heart is going to come. If somebody said, you're going to get your heart, but you're going to have to wait, 6 months, that would be one thing. But the not knowing, I think, is the hardest part. So just try to not focus on when is it going to come, and just try to be patient.